All right, friends. So today we're going to be talking about building discipline through systems and habits, and why I believe that systems create habits and habits create discipline. I broke today into two parts. We're going to be talking about the relationship between discipline, systems, and habits, and then we're going to talk about how to cultivate discipline through these habits and through your systems. So if at any time you guys have comments, questions, concerns, want me to just slow down or speed up, or dive into something more deeply, highly encourage you to do so. If not, let's jump into it. All right. Part one, the relationship between discipline, system, and habits. So why systems and habits matter more than motivation. I think for many of us, this is pretty intuitive, but let's jump into it a little bit. So motivation is temporary and fleeting. It's inconsistent. We know this because there's two parts or two types of motivation. There's intrinsic and there's extrinsic. Extrinsic being motivation that is coming from, maybe a song that gets you really hyped up, or a movie, or other people, or your perception of other people's view of you. Whatever it's coming from, it is fleeting and it is inconsistent. But systems and habits create a structure that drives consistent action over time. Yes, we know this. And I apologize for my voice as well. I'm still fighting a little sinus deal right now, so bear with me. So systems reduce decision fatigue by automating routine tasks, while habits reinforce discipline through repeated behaviors. I'll repeat that one more time, but I want to talk about decision fatigue. You guys often hear JoJo, and many of you subscribe to this as well, about mental capital and how important it is when we talk about things like data-driven decision-making, analytical decision-making, to make the best decisions possible when making trades. And when you use up that mental capital, things start to kind of break down. And when we talk about decision fatigue, if you write down a list of everything you want to accomplish in a day, say you have these great big dreams that you made for 2025, or 2030 is your end goal for a lot of these big dreams, to own a multi-million-dollar revenue company, to have multiple properties, or whatever big dream it is that you have. Maybe it's fitness, whatever it might be. If you write down everything that you need to do to accomplish that, but you do not create or facilitate anything to set up systems for these goals, you're going to be overwhelmed. And there's so many decisions to make throughout the day. I could go work out right now, or I could work on the business, or I could go over my finances, or I could eat better. So instead of making these decisions, we essentially sit down at one point in our life, and I typically like to do this on a Sunday, and look over my week and say, this is what I need to get done. I essentially make time blocks for them, and I create up time blocks for whatever I am trying to accomplish. So let's say I need to go to the gym and I have to be in there for at least 45 minutes. Typically it takes me about 50 to an hour. So I set up that time block, and that time block is able to move. So I'm planning to go from, let's call it 1:30 to 2:30, but things happen, life happens. I'm still able to grab that time chunk and move it around in my day and still accomplish that. And the decision fatigue is removed from my environment. It's no longer burning my mental capital. I know that I have in my day time to go to the gym, and I can move that time block wherever I want, either the morning, mid-afternoon, or late afternoon, whatever that looks like for me. So creating these systems are, in my mind, crucial to eliminate a lot of anxiety and the feeling of being overwhelmed when trying to accomplish big long-term goals. And I think the highest performers in society and that are under the limelight, like let's talk about Elon Musk for a moment, his systems that he has in place to accomplish the millions of things on his plate are so tuned in and precise that it is creating habits for him, which instills discipline, and the cycle just continues. So these systems are meant to be well lubricated machines that we implement and take care of and adjust as needed. But without them, we're relying on a lot of mental capital and depending on how well we slept the night before, extrinsic stressors in our life, like stressors that come from relationships, whether it's friendship or your business partner or your spouse, whatever that might come from, that can drain a lot of your mental capital. And then you're having to make these decisions instead of just relying on systems that you've built for yourself. He's wild, but his mind game is crazy. I love that. But yeah, so hopefully you guys understand. I know I kind of went in the weeds there for a moment, but systems are so important when it comes to trying to accomplish a lot of tasks at one time. So anyway, moving forward, discipline thrives when daily processes align with long-term goals. So eliminating the need to rely on willpower or motivation. That's essentially what we just covered. So I want to talk about the role of systems in building discipline. So systems are frameworks or routines designed to guide consistent actions, such as a trading plan or a fitness schedule. So for me, that looks like waking up in the morning, taking a cold shower, doing my 90-minute bout of work, and then I take a break. And before that, I actually have breakfast, do my 90-minute bout of work. And then depending on the schedule for you guys and what I have going on in my life, the early or late morning, early afternoon, that's typically dependent on the weekly schedule. And then I move into my nightly routine with the gym and working out and cooking and all that stuff. So it is, for me, to stay consistent over time, essential to set up systems and habits for yourself to complement that. So bringing it back to trading, what does that look like for you guys trying to distill discipline? Jojo talked about it today, how people with years of experience under their belt with trading still find themselves undisciplined and lacking the ability to be consistent over time. So a trading system might include pre-market analysis, entry and exit criteria, and a journaling routine to track your performance. So essentially, all you have to do is, and we'll talk about habit stacking here shortly, but create a system for yourself that introduces a routine. So you could look at your system as a routine, and that routine, it will over time, if you continue to move through it, build a habit, and that habit is going to lead to discipline. I know it sounds elementary, but that is exactly what we're looking for. That's how the human mind works, is essentially the synapses in your brain between your neurons are strengthening the more you do one action over and over and over again. So if you wake up every morning and have a disciplined routine, like pre-market analysis, you could go over your risk management criteria, your exit and entry criteria, and you journal pre-trade and post-trade every single day. I promise you, you will see progress in what you're trying to accomplish. And what's so powerful about journaling, that is you could look back on all that stuff and fine tune exactly what you need to fine tune. What do you got, Groovy Guava? Send it out there. My last part for my little practical tip for part one is I encourage you guys to break down big goals into small manageable tasks and incorporate them into your systems to ensure progress without the anxiety of these big dreams without a plan. And essentially what we're talking about here is just habit stacking and time blocking and integrating that into a weekly routine. And you can shift as needed, but those time blocks are there. All you have to do is act. The decision fatigue is eliminated. The anxiety of what you have to get done is eliminated. You take care of all of that in potentially a 1 hour or 90-minute bout of just writing down what you need to accomplish for the week. So Guava says, I keep sabotaging right before payout, not too sure why or how to not do it. It probably has to do with a sense of, I'm lacking the word right now, but as we get really close to a goal, it's really common for us to want to jump into, to expedite the process. And when we try to expedite that process, typically we start to lean into emotions rather than analytical decisions. That's what I've noticed in my own journey and talking to others alike, is that especially when it's a bigger payout. I don't know about you guys, but when instead of like a $3,000 or $4,000 payout, if we're double that or more, and you're really close to it, that expedition that you want to, essentially you're just trying to expedite the process to get that out sooner. A lot of emotions come with that, and I think with the emotions comes this lack of analytical decision making, and you kind of fall back into your recesses of essentially low EQ, as we call it, is the emotional intelligence. And I'm not saying that you have low EQ. What I'm saying is we have habits that potentially came from childhood or we have never worked on and have developed over our lifetime, that when we have low emotional anxiety, fear, greed, whatever it is if everything's baseline, we can do and perform very well under stress, any extrinsic stuff coming on. But as soon as something intrinsic or extrinsic taps into our emotions, it's like everything kind of washes back into those, or we fall into those old patterns of what we used to be doing. And I think truly it just comes down to the emotional wherewithal to perform and realize what you're going through in real time, and have the ability to push away from your desk, take a few deep breaths, and walk away if you need to. How can I get over that hump? I had 11K of profit and sabotaged it. And this last time I had 67 of profit and sabotaged it. I think what we're talking about here, and the reason I'm talking about systems and habits today, is because we talk about discipline. If you were a perfectly disciplined person, you would continue to that trend of profiting and you would reach your payout. So what I see happening, and again, this is a deeply personal journey and I'm not completely sure, but what I would bet my money on is that you're able to make data-driven analytical decisions when you're far away from that payout and your emotions are low. And so you're continuing to build these good habits. But as soon as the emotions start to get higher and the feeling is amped up and you're just on a higher frequency, your nervous system is switched from parasympathetic to sympathetic, that there's high cortisol, high adrenaline going on when you know that you're really close to this goal that you've been working really high or really hard towards. Emotions come with all that stuff as well. So whether it's fear or greed, whatever it is, I highly recommend introducing systems to help counteract these emotions. And a lot of times that's going to look like really simple things like breathing techniques, where when you feel your heart rate elevated, your breathing shortened, an overall sense of just like you're on and stressed, you could call it, is to take a deep breath. We've talked about the physiological side before. Let me know if you want me to go over one more time. I talk about it frequently, but I use it all the time. And it is a surefire way in real time that we know of, scientifically the best way to not only switch your nervous system from that sympathetic to the parasympathetic, that fight or flight to the rest and digest, and also reduce the cortisol and adrenaline levels in your bloodstream in real time, just by breathing. And I really do, in my heart of hearts, believe that that's what the issue is here. And I see it all the time, is when the emotions are low and we're at our baseline, we can get right up into the payout. And then all of a sudden we're amped up. We want to expedite the process, and there's a lot of emotions flowing. Regardless of what they are, it's a high emotional state. And that's when all these good habits that we've been building on go out the window. And that's when we really have to be self-aware and be able to integrate tools that we've learned, like the physiological side, like grounding, like taking a break. This is I forget what they call it in Hebrew, a selah, a pause, and go outside and just take a walk, just breathe, enjoy nature, and then come back. Say, you know what? If I am not at a baseline, if I feel emotional at all, I'm not going to take any trades today. I'm so close. There's no reason to push it. Let's see. I noticed that it might happen and took a day off and journaled on it before it happened. Yeah, I did so good with discipline journaling and I made a lot of progress, but then blew it all. Did I throw that progress out on my habits or did I actually make progress? Oh, I 100% believe you made progress. I think it's just like anything we do in life, we're not worried about perfection. We're worried about consistency. What we really need to focus on is this consistency of habit stacking and system building. Right now, if you are not, and I think for the majority of people that are a part of these communities, are not getting cash outs consistently, and they're trying to find this answer, and they're trying to find this golden strategy or this golden risk management criteria to help them. But I scream it from the mountaintops. It's not what the problem is. The problem is your systems, your habits, and your discipline. So you 100% made progress. What we need to work on now is we know that you're able to make at your baseline low emotions, make analytical, data-driven decisions based off of your risk management criteria and your entry and exit criteria. All that's good. It's bread and butter, baby. What we need to work on now is how to lower your emotions when you feel extremely evocative, when the market brings out high stress, high greed, high fear, a mix of whatever it is, and your nervous system switches from that parasympathetic to sympathetic. And you guys, for some of you who are not as aware of your emotional status at all times or your nervous system status, what I'm saying may not make sense. You're like, I'm sitting at my computer and you're telling me that I'm in a fight or flight mode and there's a bunch of cortisol in my bloodstream. I'm telling you, yes, absolutely. Especially when you're really close to those goals. And all of a sudden you have this massive withdrawal of all of your habits and these good decisions you've been making. And now you're trying to fight and claw back to where you were. So I would highly recommend this. So I love to do my rabbit trails. I would highly recommend is to write down a list of what you could do when your emotions are higher and you're close to that payout. The simple answer is to look back at what's been working. Okay, I will not take a trade if I'm feeling highly stressed, or I feel like revenge trading or scaling up or increasing my lot size, whatever that might look like for you. Write down a list and say, okay, when I feel emotional, or maybe I'm always emotional when I'm close to a payout. How do I reduce these emotions so I can actually take a trade? Otherwise, I'm just sitting here about to get a payout, but I can never take a trade because I'm highly emotional. Writing down things like the physiological sigh, grounding activities, and going for a walk. And I know that sounds very elementary, but I promise you this stuff will make a world of a difference when you're trying to navigate through life at a high emotional state. One more thing I would throw in there, and you guys hear me talk about it often, I would argue, or I would bet that many of you guys do not implement this, but putting yourself in deliberately hard situations in high stress environments will really, really help you navigate high emotion and high stress, undeliberate experiences that life throws at you. So if you do deliberate cold exposure in the mornings and you do hard workouts and you integrate at least one HIIT workout per week, the high intensity interval training, where you really get your cortisol and adrenaline jacked up, and then you are working in real time on a conscious level to try to lower your heart rate, to try to control your breathing and make proper decisions when you're in that state. When you deliberately do that, when it will help you so much when you're sitting about to get a payout and all of a sudden your heart rate increases, your breath shortens, and you feel highly emotional. You can recognize that. You say, oh, this happens when I take my cold shower or my cold plunge. I need to focus on my breath. I need to relax my shoulders, relax my neck, maybe take a sip of water, look outside, and in literally 30 seconds, you could go from a place where you're about to crash out and blow your entire account to be able to look at the market and say, you know what, this is actually a good place for me to take a well or a proper entry, or it's actually time for me to get up and walk away. And I'm just telling you guys, this stuff really, really, really does work. And I know for some of you guys who are actually in this audience today have tried it and it has worked, but and then all of a sudden it happens again. You have this, everything's going well. Maybe you get 2 payouts in a row and you're feeling really good. And so you kind of, you become lackadaisical towards your progress, your systems, your habits. And you really don't, you think, I got it. I figured it out. I got 2 payouts in a row. It's all the subconscious level. It's kind of not even paying attention. I'm just making my trades. I'm doing my thing because I'm consistent now. And then these emotions start coming. And then we forget how important things like just deliberate breathing exercises, putting yourself in high stress, hard environments deliberately so that you can better understand your emotions and your stress and work through that stuff. And when you don't deliberately put yourself in those situations. So I hope that makes sense. And I hope you do start to integrate some of this stuff, because there's no way around it. Like I said, the majority of people I see across all of these communities are searching for a golden strategy or a golden risk management criteria, when in all reality, you can use hundreds of different strategies and hundreds of different risk management criteria and entry and exit models to become a profitable trader. The problem is your systems and habits and your discipline, and how you will not follow. Even if I handed you 100% win rate in a perfect risk management strategy, you're not going to be able to follow that because of the emotion and the high stress environments that you find yourself in that you're unable to handle. And so doing things like what I just covered will really, really help on many different levels and in all aspects of life. So hopefully that made sense, and hopefully that was digestible and it wasn't just a bunch of word soup I was spewing at you guys. Was that decent? You guys get what I'm putting down here? Hopefully. So that was part 1. Hopefully got a little something from that. But let's see what Scud got. Any tips on meditation? I've been experimenting with pre-market meditation. I'll start with 10 minutes just focusing on breathing, then do 15 minutes guiding my thoughts towards trading, taking good setups, staying disciplined, stop losses. It's consistency, brother. Meditation is something that is extremely difficult if you're out of practice, and will only improve in time. And I believe time and consistency is the only thing that will help with tips on meditation. There's 100 different ways to meditate, but I think that's perfect what you're doing, where there's a sense of trying to reduce activity in your brain, essentially eliminate thoughts by focusing on your breath and your body for a couple minutes, and then focusing on an activity, meditating on an idea. And I think that's a very powerful place to set yourself up for success. And when it comes to trading, only tips is keep doing it, man. If you feel overwhelmed and you feel yourself slipping, say you have only been doing this for a week and then you find yourself missing a day or two, come back to it immediately and just lower the time. Instead of 10 minutes, do 5 minutes. But if you find yourself being able to do the full 25 minutes, 10 on breathing and 15 on the focus of an idea or a belief, then keep doing what you're doing and slowly increase the time. I find when I meditate, nowadays I do it at night. I think I can best focus at night. It takes me a while to wake up in the morning and transition from sleep to non-sleep. So my mind is typically the sharpest mid-afternoon and into the evening. And that's when I choose to meditate. And I find just focusing on my breath has improved my emotional control by miles. And I find myself when I don't do, and I call it my meditation, it's just deliberate breathing. That's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on my body and breath. I find when I don't do that and I fall in bouts of like over Christmas, I found myself only doing it a handful of times during the month of December, and I found my emotional control, things that would not typically invoke a emotional response, were bringing an emotional response to me. And so I was like, what really is that? And then I go back to my routine. I start breathing again. Oh, I wasn't meditating. But anyway, that was just an observation. But I think you got it, man. Just keep doing it. Consistency over perfection at any time. And keep pushing, man. That's awesome. And you're really on the right track, man. I could tell there's a lot of willpower behind what you're doing. And it's inspiring, man. Keep doing it. Thanks for the side tangent on my question. Absolutely, man. I mean, truly, I'm here to help. I got my criteria that I could go on for weeks about, but I'm here to help you guys. So if I had to throw all of that away, I'll do it in a heartbeat to help you guys. So moving on to, and again, at any time for anybody who's joined up, if you want me to slow down, elaborate, or pause and take a whole different route, just shoot it out in the chat and let me know. These psychology sessions have transformed my training process. I love that, man. And yeah, I wish more people joined up, because I'll scream it from the mountaintops. I talk about it all the time. I could hand you the perfect trading strategy and a perfect risk management criteria, and the majority of people would still find themselves inconsistent and unprofitable. And it's because of their mental discipline and their psychology and their emotional wherewithal. And I could only preach it as much as you guys will join up. So I appreciate you guys for being here. So part 2 is cultivating discipline through habits. So how to build strong habits. And this is where we come into that cycle of systems build habits, habits build discipline, and so on and so forth. So how to build strong habits. Use proven techniques like habit stacking, where you link new habits to existing ones, and starting small for sustainable growth. So for example, something really easy to do, let's say you're decent about your oral hygiene, but you're not great. And so you know you need to floss, but you don't floss. How would you start that habit? Habit stacking is that at the same time that you would brush your teeth, you would put out the floss right next to your toothbrush. And then right after, for a week or so, it's going to be deliberate, thought-provoking. You're having to make that decision of right after you brush your teeth, you floss, and then you rinse out your mouth, because it's right there. But those connections, those synapses in our brains are already wired for brushing your teeth at this time, before you go to bed, when you wake up, or after breakfast, whatever it is for you. Now you deliberately add flossing to that, and now it's a system you created for yourself, and after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, now it's just a habit. Now you floss every single night, right after you brush your teeth, or right before you brush your teeth, whatever you prefer. But that's what habit stacking is, and it's really powerful. And for talking about something like trading, how do I do all these things I know I should be doing, but I don't, it's kind of overwhelming. I don't know where to start. I would recommend starting with journaling. And how would I do that? Well, maybe before you get up from your computer, or wherever it is that you trade from, you just write down a few thoughts. And to me, what is so powerful about journaling is it not only gives you agency over your thoughts, it also carves out a meaningful time in your day dedicated to just you. Whether you're thinking about someone else or you're thinking about anything, it is for you. That's not for anyone else. That time is dedicated to you to journal. And I think that's really powerful. So if you guys are looking for how to habit stack or how to create habits, try stacking it on other stuff that you're already doing. Like you could pair your reviewing your trading plan, like you should be doing every morning, like going over your trade criteria. If you find yourself someone who really doesn't even have a solid risk management plan, or find yourself continuously changing your lot size often, depending on market conditions, it's probably a good idea for you to review your trading plan before you start trading. And so if you trade in the afternoon, you could pair reviewing your trading plan with your lunch break, or if you trade in the morning, you could pair that review with your morning coffee or your breakfast or whatever it is for you. But just find something that you are already doing. Maybe you drink a cup of water every morning. Maybe just pair your reviewing with that, or journaling, or whatever it is. But habit stacking is a very powerful tool to use. And again, like we talked about with USCAD, with the meditation, we're focusing on consistency over perfection. So I just encourage you guys to complete your habits daily, even if they're done imperfectly, to build momentum. Once those systems are in place, these habits just naturally follow. And what naturally follows habits is discipline. So when talking about getting back into the gym, if you haven't been consistent for years or months or ever, what is going to build habits and discipline? Just doing it. Even if you go to the gym and you don't follow your workout plan, that's okay. That's totally normal when you're getting into something. But doing it, putting on your gym attire and going to the gym and showing up, even if everything goes wrong, as long as you don't get injured, be safe when you work out, it's okay. You're building that momentum. And the same thing happens when we talk about habit stacking for trading. When we talk about journaling, maybe you sit down with a pen and paper and all you can write about is what you did today. There's no thoughts, there's no big great plans, there's nothing really going on. You just say, I woke up on time today. I did not take a cold shower like I usually do. I drank my water and now I'm here. And that's okay. Sometimes that ball of yarn of thoughts in your head really doesn't unravel and you can't find a loose thread to pull on. Totally okay. But you're starting to build these systems, build these habits, and build this discipline. And that's how we find long-term success when talking about such a mental game. This finance thing is truly a mental game, and how well you're able to handle and manipulate your own thoughts and intentions and emotions as well. Oh, that's awesome, Josh. Let's do it, man. Scott said, LOL, if only all the members trying to copy Trade Joe's call out came to psychology sessions. I'm telling you, man, it would change the game. But I think there's a math. I mean, just like I grew up in America, and looking at the education system and what it's built for, it's not built to show what really matters in life and educate people on how to learn and how to truly seek understanding and communication. It's built to create employees and do certain things in a certain way. And if you think outside of that way, it's not made for you. And I think that's exactly how education goes across the board for a lot of things, including the trading space. It's like, oh, here's the golden strategy. It's over here. You just need to pay me and I will give you the golden strategy and you will be profitable. But in all reality, we know that's not the truth. And unfortunately, it's hard to get that message out there. Like, how do you tell the millions of people trying to do this that, hey, if you don't improve your emotional intelligence and work on your discipline in every aspect of your life, including what time you wake up, if you go to the gym, what you eat, that stuff is what matters. And essentially, if you're consistently inconsistent and unsuccessful in the stock market over a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of doing this, it's like your psychology is the issue. And I think that's a really hard pill for a lot of people to swallow. So I thought a lot about that and trying to implement ways to reach the community in a broader way to talk about that stuff. But I have yet to find a really, a pill that I could throw out to people that they're like, oh yeah, this is like a Flintstone gummy vitamin that I can just chew on. Most of them are pretty big. pill. It's like, hey, like your mental habits, they're the problem when we're talking about your inconsistency. And I think that's hard for a lot of people, but I don't think it should be easy. I don't think most things in life that come easy are worthwhile. That's my thoughts. But I got one little last section for you guys, and it's the science of breaking bad habits before we close out today. Alrighty, folks. Again, if anytime you guys want to dialogue about something else, shoot it out in the chat. So the science of breaking bad habits. So how do we approach bad habits that we have, and potentially it's emotional outbursts. Maybe it's revenge trading. Maybe it's increasing lot size too frequently or ever. So how do we approach bad habits? Identify triggers that lead to negative behaviors, such as overtrading or skipping risk assessments. Replace these habits with healthier alternatives. So, for example, if stress leads to impulsive trades, replace that reaction with a mindfulness exercise or a short walk. Groovy guava. This is essentially what we were just talking about. So, first of all, I think most of it comes from being emotionally aware and just aware of, self-awareness is one of the highest skill sets that I think someone can develop, because if we're unaware, we can never improve unless that improvement comes in consequence to some other action we're doing. Anyway, but when you find yourself in situations like you were talking about, Guava, where you are really consistent over time, and then when you get close to this pinnacle of all your hard work, a lot of emotion gets brought with that, and stress included. So if stress leads to impulsive trades, it's going to take time, but consciously replace that reaction with a mindfulness exercise or something like a short walk. And that can be just grounding yourself. And when I say grounding, I mean taking off your socks and shoes, literally putting them on the ground, relaxing your muscles, starting from your scalp through your face, scrunching your forehead and then relaxing, and then your cheeks and then relaxing, and then your lips and then relaxing. And then you flex your neck a little bit and then you relax your neck. And then you do that through all the muscles in your body until you get to your toes. And you'll find when you shift your focus from this external stressor to your own body and you focus on breathing while doing that, it's game changing. It truly, truly is game changing. So that's essentially the very short answer of how to break bad habits. Identify them, find an alternative for them when emotion comes up. I have this bad habit. What can I substitute that habit for? And it's going to be conscious for a while, but once you shift those automatic thought patterns in your head from this negative to this net positive thing, you won't have to think about it anymore. It'll become subconscious. Now you're just a better person from it, but it's going to take work. So and a practical tip is using habit tracking apps. There's tons of apps out there. Find one that works for you, or just Google it, or find a simple checklist to monitor progress and hold yourself accountable. If you're trying to, like for me, I'm trying to gain weight. It's been a struggle of mine for a long time. For maintenance calories, I'm at 3,200 to maintain my weight right now, 3,200 calories per day. And I'm trying to gain roughly 3/4 of a pound per week to a pound per week. That puts me at 3,600 calories per day. I don't even like eating all that much, especially that amount of calories. That takes a lot for me. And what really helps me is continuously monitoring my weight and my progress. So how many times did I work out this week as far as resistance training to add hypertrophy or to synthesize hypertrophy? And then also, am I actually making progress? So taking, what's my goal? How do I measure that? A scale. And I get on the scale every morning and see if I'm actually making progress. If I'm not, what do I need to change? And I think that's just so powerful. And do that for yourself. If if you guys can afford it, doing a TradeZella account, TradeZella is amazing. You guys, if you are able to, get on it. If not, set up a spreadsheet for yourself on Google Sheets or whatever it is that you use, or maybe even a pen and paper, and write down your trades. It doesn't have to be anything in depth. You can go in as much detail as you want, but if you are trying to become consistently profitable, let's look at how many times you take a trade, how many times those trades are winners versus losers, and if you're profitable and by what margin. And it can be as simple as that. TradeZella is just, I love their system, and you can really dial in stuff and really track progress, but you don't need all that. But I do believe you need a way to monitor progress to optimally reach your goals. Of course, you can still grow without monitoring that stuff, but it's just not optimal, and you could do better. So in summary of today, I would say short answer is systems and routines build habits, habits build discipline, and the cycle continues. So I encourage you guys to start a good habit today by using something like habit stacking. So find one thing that you can implement today and track its progress over the next week. So for example, if you guys are not journaling your trades, your emotions, whatever it is, start journaling today. Right after, before you get up out of your chair, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It could be one sentence. Start journaling. It could be one page. It could be an entire notebook. It could be one word. And you could write starting and then come tomorrow. But something that you could look back on over the week and say, I journaled every day this week. Some days I showed up a lot more than other days, but at least I'm starting. And that something about just doing the action is super powerful on so many different levels. But when we talk about the biological mechanisms in our brain, how the wiring works between the neurons, that's what it takes, is consistency over perfection every single time. So that's my encouragement for you guys today. And I leave you with this. Discipline is the bridge between goals and true success. And systems and habits are the foundation of discipline. By creating intentional systems and cultivating habits that align with your objectives, you can build a disciplined, productive, and sustainable lifestyle. And that's what we're going for, guys. That's what we're truly going for. So I hope you guys gained a little something today. And I hope you guys do start a habit today. There's always things that we can all improve on, but what are we going to do to actually reach those goals? Systems, habits, discipline. Let's see. I missed a few messages before we head out. Time to meditate. At the rate I am revenge trading, I have to listen to John Sessions before I start my day. Really, dude, it's consistency, man. I love it though. I mean, as long as your head is in the right space of like knowing that, yeah, my computer is not making these revenge trades for me. I'm the one doing it. How am I going to swap that habit for something productive? How can I substitute that action or that reaction for a data-driven decision? I've been weighing myself and tracking my macros daily for years. Also been using TradeZella under the rules section. Have a checklist where I include cold shower, journaling, meditation, reading. That's so good. That is so good, Scud. If you guys can afford it, go subscribe to TradeZella and do something like Scud's doing. That is fire. And if you just make a system of checking that every day before you take any trades, you're going to do better. I can promise you, and I know that's a big promise, that you will do better. I'm not going to say you're going to become consistently profitable, but I promise you, you will see improvement if you do something like that every single day. All right, folks. Well, that is all the curriculum and all my rants for today. But if you guys have questions, comments, concerns, I'm happy to open it up to anything. I will journal and implement the systems from here on. Let's go, man. I love to hear that. That's super cool. That's super cool. All right, friends. Well, no one's typing. I think that's it. So I encourage you guys to start a habit today. I encourage you guys to work out today, to choose the healthy option, the healthy alternative. If you're thinking about going and getting yourself a shake or some fruity drink that is full of crap, go choose the organic, clean option instead. Go hydrate. And I don't know if it probably is more important than all of those, but they're all important. Just go tell your loved ones that you love them. It truly today could be our last blessing of waking up on this earth. So I hope you guys consistently are truly interacting in a meaningful way with your loved ones and telling them that you love them and appreciate them, and you're glad to have them in your life. And I hope you guys are truly watering those plants and giving that fertilizer, if you will. So go do something hard today, folks. And I love you guys a lot. If you guys need anything, you always can reach out to me in my DMs. If you want to do personal coaching, we have that option on WAP for JoJo on the technical side. You can do both of us, me individually, if you want to jump on phone calls. If it's something short, just shoot me a DM and we'll figure it out together. All right, friends, have a wonderful day, and I will catch you guys tomorrow for the Prop Firm giveaway. Peace.